Look, let me guess how this feels. You're in your 40s, you're making more money than you ever have, and yet somehow it still feels tight. You're not broke, you're not panicking, but there's this constant low grade anxiety that never fully goes away. Retirement feels close enough to be scary, but still far enough away that you keep telling yourself you'll deal with it later. And every time you check your bank account, you think to yourself, I should be way further along than this. If that thought feels familiar, yeah, that's literally most people in their 40s. My name is Pete, and I'm just a normal person like you thinking about money and investing. If you're someone who feels behind financially, even though you've been working hard for decades, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because here's the thing most people don't want to admit: your 40s are not a coasting decade, they're not a cleanup decade, and they're definitely not a figure it out later decade. They're the deciding decade, and what you do with money right now quietly determines how the rest of your life is going to feel. Most people think the main goal in your 40s is simply to make more money, and on the surface that sounds reasonable. The problem is that it's wrong. Here's what most people don't realize. By your 40s, income matters less than decisions. According to the Federal Reserve, the median net worth of Americans aged 45 to 54 is about $168,600, which sounds okay until you actually think about retirement, healthcare costs, inflation, and the fact that many people are going to live into their late 80s or 90s. When you look at it through that lens, that number starts to feel a lot less comforting, and that's why this decade matters so much. Milestone number one: know your real number. This is where most people quietly fail, not because they're lazy or irresponsible, but because they're uncomfortable. Most people in their 40s don't actually know their real net worth, their true monthly spending, or how much they realistically need to retire. Instead, they have a vague sense of how things are going, a rough guess, or a number they hope is enough. Hope feels good, but it doesn't pay the bills. If you want $80,000 a year in retirement, using the 4% rule, you need roughly $2 million invested. And if hearing that makes you feel overwhelmed or behind, that reaction matters because the real danger isn't the number itself, it's avoiding it. Psychologically, when numbers feel too big, people shut down, delay decisions, and tell themselves they'll figure it out later, and later is expensive. Milestone number two: eliminate high interest debt. High interest debt isn't just a math problem, it's emotional weight. Credit cards charging 18, 22, or even 25% interest aren't normal debt, they're financial quicksand. A $15,000 credit card balance at 22% interest, paying only the minimum, can take more than 20 years to pay off and cost nearly $30,000 in total. That's not just money disappearing, that's options disappearing, flexibility disappearing, and stress quietly compounding in the background. Here's what most people don't realize: debt steals future choices before it steals dollars. And the milestone here isn't perfection, it's removing the things that keep you stuck in survival mode. Milestone number three: retirement contributions. Should feel uncomfortable. If your retirement contributions feel easy or painless, they're probably too low. Your 40s aren't about comfort, they're about compression because you no longer have unlimited time on your side. For example, if you're 40 years old with $300,000 invested and you earn a 7% return, that money grows to about $1.6 million by age 65. That's solid. But if you add just $2,000 more per month using the same investments and the same market, you're suddenly much closer to $3 million. This is where it gets really interesting because people think they missed the compounding window, when in reality, they just underestimated how powerful aggressive consistency can be in this decade. Milestone number four: build real emergency security. You've probably heard the advice to save 3 to 6 months of expenses, and while that's fine in theory, it often isn't enough in your 40s. Job searches tend to take longer, health issues become more expensive, and family responsibilities pile up faster than expected. Money isn't just protection, it's psychological safety. And having 9 to 12 months of expenses changes how you think and act. You stop panicking, you stop making desperate short term decisions, and you start operating from a place of clarity instead of fear. which is exactly where good financial decisions come from. Milestone number 5, stop automatic lifestyle upgrades. Lifestyle creep in your 40s doesn't feel reckless, it feels justified. Better vacations, nicer cars, and more convenience all make sense when you've worked hard for decades, and to be clear, you do deserve nice things. The problem shows up when your lifestyle upgrades faster than your investments. Upgrading your lifestyle without upgrading your financial foundation is like remodeling a kitchen in a house with a cracked foundation. It looks great for a while, but it creates long term stress that sneaks up on you later, usually right when you least want to deal with it. Milestone number 6, boring investing beats clever investing. By your 40s, your investment strategy should be boring because excitement is usually a sign that behavior is about to interfere with results. Most people don't lose money because they're unintelligent. They lose money because they're overstimulated by news, trends, and short-term market noise. Historically, the S&P 500 has returned about 10% annually over the long run, yet the average investor earns closer to 5 or 6%. The difference isn't knowledge or access, it's behavior, patience, and the ability to stay boring when everything around you is trying to grab your attention. Milestone number 7, you can explain your plan. Simply, if you can't explain your financial plan in about a minute, you probably don't really have one. You should be able to clearly explain where your money goes, how it's invested, when you can realistically retire, and what happens if things don't go according to plan. Confidence with money doesn't come from complexity, it comes from clarity. And clarity almost always improves when you simplify and write things down in one place that you revisit once a year. Here's the truth most people avoid. Your 40s aren't about catching up, they're about locking in direction. This decade quietly decides whether work becomes optional later in life, whether financial stress follows you into your 50s and 60s, and whether money supports your life or constantly runs it. You don't need perfection to win this decade, but you do need momentum. And momentum comes from doing a few important things consistently instead of trying to do everything at once. If you're in your 40s and you're worried about money, that's not a weakness. It's a signal that you still care. And caring is where meaningful change starts. You're not too late, but you are at a point where action matters more than intention. Pick one milestone, focus on it, then move to the next and let time do what time does best. If this video helped you think differently about money, hit the thumbs up because it genuinely helps the channel, and subscribe if you want practical, realistic financial advice without the nonsense. Remember, the goal isn't to be rich, it's to be free, and I'll see you in the next one.